Hey guys, Neko here and welcome to the Dorens dev files. So today a new version of Dorens was released, version 4.0, and I'll be taking you through all the changes and a few tips and tricks on how you can gain SP easily with little effort, and what you can usually and like effective ways of farming in the development build. So let's hop into it. Immediately we can see that there is already a change in how the character selection page has changed. You can see that instead of a blue background, there's now clouds on a blue sky, and instead of just a grey box where your characters are, it is a sort of inlaid stone area that has your name, your total data points, or your SP, and your gender there. So now here I already have a character set up, and we can hit play. So you can see here that the introduction that I did in my video 3.3, version 3.3 of Dorens, the introduction area has also changed. Instead of just white text on a black background, it now has a similar design to what the character selection area looks like. So as you can see, the words are sort of typed onto a sort of page or stone tablet. You see the background is again going for the clouds and some tinting here. It looks like it might be a sunset. So one of the newer additions, I believe, would be the sort of buttons here. So now it's skip is in blue, next is in blue, back is in blue, and all that sort of stuff. If we go all the way to the end, because I already have read through this in version 3.3, I will link the video in the description. You can hear me read in my really bad voice. But here, as you can see, there isn't an end. There still isn't an end button. Pressing next doesn't seem to work. You can still go back. So what we still need to hit the skip button to skip. Now before I do that, I'm going to warn you right now, if you are using headphones, the next section is going to be very loud because the music by default is turned up to its highest setting. So be warned, I will go, the second I get in, I will turn it down as quickly as possible. So let's do that. Right, now that the music is a more bearable volume, immediately we can see changes to the original spawn area. Instead of just a sort of barren area where there was just a few towers, you can see now that we have stores here. You can see that we have a consumable store, a armor store, and a weapons store. Now these currently do not do anything. They are just here. You can't buy anything off of them, you can't sell anything off of them, but they are here, and I'm not sure if this is going to be the final design or if it's still a work in progress, but as you can see right now it looks pretty good. New lamps have been added. As you can see, there's now sort of trees, vegetation, the grass still sways, is really cool. We've got chairs that are slightly oversized, they're about the same height as me. In the center we have a sort of statue of an angel or some celestial being. You can see that there's rocks, and there's these grey boxes which are placeholders for the future buildings. Immediately here, when you get in, you'll see a load of these random sort of seemingly random different beasts, I guess you could call them. These are going to be most likely the future models that will be added in future versions. So we are going to very quickly run into this house over here, which is sort of a preview house. There is some texturing in it, so it gives you the general idea. So you can see it's a little bit floaty, so it's a little bit glitchy still. This is going to be the general sort of stone wall texture. This is like sort of the wooden handle, and this is the mossy stone brick stairs, which is pretty good. So it looks like here we're going to have a counter sort of thing, or back area, maybe a window. You can't walk up the stairs, you have to jump up them, which you do with spacebar. You can see this upstairs area. There's currently no roof, but that will be fixed. So now that we've taken a sort of look in the town, you can see that there's walls and there's the exit area into the thing. The second thing you might notice immediately is that now we have a character model. Now there is no female model yet, I believe. If you make a female, the character model is exactly the same thing as this male, with a sort of immediately it looks like he is clad in armor and he's got a sword, despite the fact that when we check in the inventory later, you will see that he's not actually wearing anything. So the model is pretty cool. It is still slightly buggy, as you can see. If I move side to side, there isn't actually a sort of strafing animation. I'm pretty sure that will be implemented later on. Shift is still run forward, left click is still attack. You can see we have an attack animation as well, which is very nice. You sort of lean forward and swing very vigorously. Shift is still run, like I said. Now there's been a new sort of movement feature that's been added, which is control, and you can see that sort of set me flying a little bit. You can see a little blue dust sort of comes up behind me, so it's a bit like a fart. Press it, as you can see, that blue thing, that blue particle effect. That's a dash. You see it dashes forward. You can use it approximately on a 4 to 5 second cooldown, so it's pretty interesting. There's no animation for that as well. You just sort of just teleport forward a little bit, which is a bit strange. And now we can move on to so that's pretty much all the aesthetic designs or the new aesthetics that have been added in. There will be more further on, and I will show you when I walk through that portal. But before we do that, let's quickly talk about the new tabs that have been added. So you can hit escape, and you can see it brings up this menu. It's got player, config, and logout. So now you can hit L to lock your mouse and unlock your mouse. So you want to unlock your mouse. Player, you've got inventory, skills, stats. At this bottom that you can't really quite see because my character's in the way, but that's maps. So maps aren't currently in the game yet, but it will be coming soon. Skills are not in the game yet either, but inventory and stats are in the game. So inventory, if you hit on that, you can see that this is sort of your character sheet, I guess. These will be your boots, these are trousers, your armor and your helmet, right hand, left hand, and then you can see here that there's a few more other things. I think this is amulet, ring, cloak, quiver, I think if you're using a bow. I'm not sure what these two are. And F1 and F2, I think those are just secondary sort of things. So you can immediately see the inventory, it's still quite lacking, but I'm sure it will be worked on future on, but because this is a primary placeholder, as you can see here, this isn't going to be the final thing. It's mostly just placeholder circles for now. You can see down here, this is how much money we have, and up here this is items. So right now the only things that drop, I think, are the basic armor and sort of these things, so just food or bananas, which you can use. As you can see here, it says basic food that gives health, so it gives you plus 40 HP and 0 mana. So I think the reason it gives you 0 mana is two things. Bananas either are never going to give you mana, or currently mana doesn't do anything, so there's no point restoring it. So if we hit escape, we go back to this menu again. Player, stats. So you can see the stat window, previously you access by pressing H, now you have to hit escape, player, and stats. Now this is where you add all your things. Vitality is health, wisdom is your mana. Currently there is no use in adding points to it. You can see if I added something in here, it just increases my mana by 20 and gives me some mana regen. Strength is how much you hit for, speed is how fast you run. Attack rate, which is meant to be attack speed, still currently doesn't do anything, but I'm sure that'll be added in future patches. And jump power, which affects how high you jump. Now, vitality increases putting points into vitality increases how much health you get by 100, and it's 5% of your maximum health is regenerated every second or so, I believe, 1.5 seconds to a second. Now, wisdom, like I said before, it gives you, when you put points where it gives you this extra mana regeneration, and also gives you extra mana by 20. Strength affects your damage output by approximately 1 to 2 units. It's not definite, but in order to really see a big change in your range of, like, in terms of damage ranges you want to hit for, you're probably going to need to add approximately 5 points to it. Speed is how fast you run. There's no real difference until you get into like the really higher levels. Attack rate, like I said, doesn't do anything, and jump power just affects how high you jump. I haven't done anything to this because, in my opinion, it's kind of pointless. So now we could check into the configs. You saw before when I started and I entered the town, like I warned you, the music was very loud. Now you can go into your config, which is in your escape config preferences. You can see you can turn up your graphics quality, your mouse turn sensitivity, there's a spelling error there, and your music volume. Now by default it's all the way up here and it's really loud, so I just turned it all the way down here. Now you can hear the music in the background is very nice. I'll stay silent for a little bit. So there you go, it's very nice. In my opinion, the turn sensitivity isn't quite high enough, even on max. I still feel it's a bit clunky, but there you go. This is personal preference. And log out is just log out. So I think that is all there is. In terms of inventory, there are a few other things that I will show you, but I will show you that when I get through. Again, now, preferences do not save when you get through the portal. So it will get really loud again, but I will very quickly turn down the music. There you go, turn up the sensitivity. Okay, so now you can see we're in the starting area again. you can see that there are no more green cubes. It's all just completely replaced by these sort of plant Venus flytrap sort of things. The landscape is the same. It's still the hilly terrain. You can see the trees over there, and you can see the windmill. The gate that goes into town is still here. An interesting feature to note is that when you walk through a gate, your health is completely replenished regardless of how low you are. Farming, you can go for basically, you can basically go if you want to left click or not. It's completely your choice, but you don't need to, because I now will show you why right now. So if you see here, if I run up to this thing, and if it just touches my sword, it makes contact with my sword, it will take damage. So I'll show you that again. If I walked up to this thing over here, so pay very close attention to my position on my sword and where the plant is. So if I walked forward, you can see it immediately took damage. It ran into me, it immediately takes damage. You don't need a swing to do damage. I think that's because currently the sword is being counted as a separate entity. However, I'm pretty sure that will be changed later on in further patches. Like I said, this patch is currently extremely buggy. As you can see, the armor sort of clips into me when I move on my right arm there, as you can see. It sort of clips into me. A hotfix will be released, version 4.1, and I will be covering that when it comes out. For now, we have this version to play with. So you can see that pressing backwards in control lets you dash backwards. Again, you can still run forward and use your attacks. You sort of slide along. You don't really have a running forward lunge. You sort of slide along when you attack. What else is there to talk about? I've completely forgotten. Let's take a look at my list. Right. So you can, again, like I said here, if they run into your thing, your sword, it just takes damage because that's kind of a separate entity. So now these little bags of glowy sort of fairy dust sort of things are your items. I don't know if I can move them. Oh, I have to deal with that thing constantly spawning here then. So the only way you can currently access the items is by moving up toward the item, hitting escape, unlocking your mouse, going into player inventory. Now you can see down here there's a little tab. This is the item that is currently held inside the bag. You click on it to be added, so it gets added immediately into your inventory. So you see I just got 2 beginner helmets. Now if you clicked and dragged onto your area, you can see it gets picked up and you can put it into your helmet section. Now I believe currently these things do 12 damage to me without any defense. So if we dropped this on, I'm not sure if this will work, but if it does, fantastic. So now if I walk up to this thing and intentionally get hurt, yep, it doesn't look like the armor is currently working, or if it is, it's not extremely effective, seeing as it is only +3 defense. So let's loot this bag as well, inventory. So you can see we get banana, which is your basic food source right now. Oops, escape, okay, L. Okay, there we go. So that's basically the basic mobs still here. The ball gate that usually leads you to the balls, which I showcase in version 3.3 of my video. The balls currently do not work. I think that's because the hitboxes haven't been programmed in. They pretty much just run up to you and they don't do damage to you, and you can't hurt them either. They sort of just get in your way. Now you can see the red cube boss is still there. There is no boss model yet. However, we can still approach it and it does sort of do stuff now. So you can see here, it shoots fire. Now previously, the fire I don't think did damage, but now it does 20 damage to you. Right? So now we're going to get into sort of how I leveled later on towards the end of the point system sort of thing. Early on, you just want to kill these plants. You can run into them, hold shift like this, just hold shift and run into them, and then you just knock them back a little bit. So if I show you again here on this guy, it sort of knocks them back and you just keep doing damage to them. Very easy, very nice. When you get to a point where your vitality is approximately level 10, your strength isn't that important, but once your vitality is level 10, you can go over to this cube boss over here. So run over at this angle. You can see that I'm targeting this particular plant over here. See this plant? It doesn't look like he's aggroing on me. Okay, so now the cube boss is aggroed on me. What you want to do is you want to run up to this hill. You can see this is so from that tree there that is visible completely, this is the second tree, am I right? So you stand here, and let me just very quickly kill this cube boss here. If you were to stand here, you can see the cube boss gives you 25 SP. If you were to stand here, I believe you move slightly over to the side here. Once the cube boss spawns, he will immediately draw aggro to you. Now, because his fire does 20 damage per tick, and you will regen every second, if you have level 10 vitality, he will never take you down below your full health. He will basically completely regenerate before his next attack. So you can see here, my health is ticking down, but it is completely regenerating before he hits me. Now this is, if you have level 10 vitality, you will barely survive. So if you want to be on the safe side, bring it up a few more points. So as you can see, I have level 9 vitality, so I'm healing 18, so I have no real worries. So you can see there, the second he spawned, he immediately aggroed onto me. So this is a very safe place to farm. The plants don't aggro you, so you have a very clean working area. So as you can see, he spawns, he immediately comes up to me. If we were to stand here, he can't get above you. He sort of glitches up a little bit, but not very far. So if you, this is, in my opinion, a primary farming area. So that is how I basically got the majority of my data points later on in the game. So let's just very quickly get out of here before the Q boss spawns again, because I don't want to deal with it. Oh god, whatever. Let's just kill it real quick. So it doesn't do on-contact damage anymore. Version 3.3 it did 100 on-contact damage, which was extremely crazy. I'm glad he turned it down a little bit. However, I think that's going to be re-implemented, because it did add a level of challenge, and it would mean that farming that spot doesn't work anymore. So other than that, guys, I think that's pretty much it. The game, like I said, it's still currently in development, but it is really, really, really good. If you want to check it out, I will leave a description to the IndieDB page where you can basically upvote, I believe, the game, and you can get us on top 100, so it will be viewed by more people, which means that we'll get even more support, and the more support we get, the more incentive we get to continue developing this magnificent game to eventually become a full-fledged game, and we can place this out to the general public, and you guys can have, you know, have some fun playing around with, eventually in multiplayer with your friends, and just messing around and, you know, playing a very fun, very easy to access, and very simple to control MMORPG eventually. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out the Facebook page of this game and the IndieDB page of this game. I've been Necro, and I'll see you in the next one.